Welcome to this episode of Edu Steps powered by Linear Success. It's Festus Amoye, and I get the honor of hosting this episode of Edu Steps. Ole's out of the country, and shout out to him. I am here with the fellas, Dr. Jamarc Crawford and Daniel Hill. We're going to go and give them a big round of applause. Hey! And so, yeah, you fellas ready to get started?
Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. So this episode goes out to the students. This episode is titled The Experience Paradox. How to get hired when your resume is blank, right? Imagine that. You want to get a job and everybody thinks that they're great, right? Everybody thinks that they're the best thing since sliced bread. And you go to hand somebody your resume, or you email them your resume, you send your resume in on a job board, and you get back crickets. And a lot of times it's because you just don't have any experience or experience that applies directly to that job. And so this episode is for the purpose builders in Edu Steps Nation. And so look, you need experience to get a job, but you also need a job to get experience. Come on now, how that makes sense, right? So it feels like it's a rigged game, but let me tell you the dangerous truth. Companies aren't rejecting you because your resume is empty. They're rejecting you because you look exactly like every other student waiting around for a handout. So listen, welcome to Edu Steps Nation. Today we're breaking down how to get hired even if you have zero official experience on paper. So if you refuse to let a blank resume dictate your economic value, drop more than a resume in the chat right now. Wherever you're hearing this, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on any of the things that's playing our podcast, go ahead and hit more than a resume in the chat box right now. So as we begin, corporate hiring panels report that less than 75% of entry-level candidates are rejected, not for lacking hard skills, but for an absence of professional responsiveness and proactive character during interviews. So you got to think about it. You send in your resume. If everybody did the same thing, all 12 years of school, everyone graduated high school, graduated college, and your resumes look exactly the same, what is there to differentiate you? So let's talk about being. Traditional schools train you to become passive, to wait, to sit still, to read the prompt, wait till the bell rings, raise your hand to be spoken to, and all of those different types of things. But the marketplace requires a complete different state of being, right? If you're trying to get a job, you can't be passive and wait until you're called on. You must become a proactive responder. Before you ever get a job title, you have to possess character. You need to know what wakes you up in the morning, what motivates you, what drives you. You need distinct values and core principles for yourself. If you're isolated in a silo of your own thoughts without being dynamic or having real-world mentorship, you will stay emotionally vulnerable when rejection hits. You don't have to wait for a company to give you a job title to start acting like a professional. Your professional being is established long before your first paycheck. So here's a question to the crew. Okay, we're going to unpack this state of being. Socrates said, the only true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. How does a student project authentic confidence and value to an employer when they don't have corporate credentials yet? How does a student project authentic confidence and value to an employer when they don't have corporate credentials yet? So I'm going to throw that out there to the fellas.
Yeah, how do they project authentic confidence? I would say they would have to do their homework. I would say wherever they're applying to, look at that company, look at their mission statement, vision statement, and look at the information, whatever they may have on their website or directly tied to that position, what it is that they're looking for. And they can use that as their asset when they get a chance to speak to someone, whether it's in the form of an interview or a regular conversation. that's where they can give that confidence to talk about how valuable they are to their company relating to their mission, vision, or whatever it is they're looking for in that particular position. And they might not have corporate experience, but they can share experiences that led to gained knowledge and gained skills based on what that company is looking for.
Hey, I think Crawford said the best, man. And best way is, like you said, get information about it. Because when you go to the interview, they will tell you, we were taught to always have a question to ask about the company so that you really involved in the company. You really want to know about the company. The best way to build confidence is actually talking to people. These kids don't talk to people, bro. They go to job fairs, drop off your resume, and then walk off. I'm like, bro, they don't know nothing about you. For some reason, people these days think they're the greatest, but nobody knows about you. You have a company that's great, but nobody knows about you. You could be the best at your class of school, but guess what? You're at the job fair with me. So if I know how to talk to people, I'm gonna get the job. You don't know how to talk to people, you're not gonna get the job. Because when you get the jobs these days, they really don't care what you know because they're gonna take you in and make you do it their way anyway. So the best way to do it is have a question about the company, show who you are, make people sure they actually at job fair know your name. Be like, oh yeah, my name is this. Blah, blah, blah. So I'll probably call in every once a week just to check on my resume and see how everything's going.
Man, I love that. I love the fact of developing the people skills, the conversational skills to be able to get that exposure because you're right. If I show up at the job fair, I'm in a suit, somebody else shows up at the job fair, they're in a suit, and we both just hand them a piece of paper, how do they differentiate who's who? It's the fact that you become engaging, you become interested in, hey, tell me a little bit about this company. Tell me a little bit about what's going on there. Those things are really important. And data trends across standard job platforms shows that over 80% of student applications use generic, uncustomized application templates, instantly rendering them superfluous to hiring managers. So I'm gonna put it this way. I'm gonna break it down real simple. If you're using Canva, if you're using ChatGPT, and just saying, yo, go ahead and make me a resume. It's going to come out looking the same as everybody else for the most part, right? You have to put some human emotion into it, tie in your neighborhood, what you learned from school, all those different types of things. So now let's talk about knowing a little bit deeper. In this age where over 5,000 messages fly past your face daily and your brain has to filter out all the garbage and different types of things like that, guess what? Hiring managers do the same thing with generic resumes. You know the underlying substance of the business you're applying to? Cut to the chase and understand their real problems. Knowing how to position your general knowledge and transferable skills as solutions is what separates critical thinkers from basic applicants, okay? So we're going to drop a mid-episode anchor right here, okay? Ask yourself, if an employer asks you, right? If an employer asks you, why should they hire you instead of somebody else with a 4.0 GPA? What's your answer? If you don't know your unique leverage point, you're probably stuck. And so that's a great starting point to look for, okay? Information gets you hired, but adaptability keeps you hired or keeps you there. Companies don't just buy your past history, they buy your future capacity to solve their problems and immediate issues, right? A company is not looking to say, oh, you're a great high school track runner or a great football player or something like that. Come tell us about your high school football or track. No, that's not what companies are interested in. Companies are interested in people who are team players who could come in with the adaptability and the skill sets to help make an impact on the job site. Okay, so crew, let's look at how students can thoroughly map out or translate their informal experiences like sports and volunteering or family responsibilities in the high value professional assets that a hiring manager can respect. So fellas, answer that. How can a student thoroughly map out and translate their informal life experiences like sports, volunteering, and family responsibilities into high value professional assets that a hiring manager can respect?
Yeah, so exactly. So that's exactly what we were talking about earlier, knowing how to take your life experiences and sharing those experiences in a way that they relate to what the hire manager is looking for that particular position. So if I'm in sports, that means I had to learn how to take direction, right? The coach assigned me a task. I had to be able to listen to the instructions to carry out that task. In sports, I'm on a team, so I'm a good team player, right? With volunteering, I know how to use my time to serve others. And based on the whatever I learned in those volunteer opportunities and things of that nature, that's why I'm sharing that, right? So it's being strategic about your experiences and what you learned during those experiences is what you want to focus on based on whatever you're trying to get hired for.
I like what Crawford said, man. It makes sense. Learning how different qualities you have. One of the main things is a lot of these kids don't have qualities that they need to be successful in the workplace. Even if we talk about sports, y'all see the sports, even the basketball players not even coming from America anymore. They come overseas because they know how to play as a team and win. While everything is about me, the company don't have time for me. The company wants it to where you can come in here, work with us, and help us grow all as one and help this company make millions. If you can't do that, then there's no point. So the more focus is learning how to work as a team.
Man, I love that. Yeah, that what's the saying? Teamwork make the dream work, right? So let's talk about doing. Labor metrics indicate that roughly 50% of college graduates end up working in a field completely unrelated to their degree, proving that execution agility outpaces formal specialization. So plans, again, they don't execute themselves. Good intentions don't pay your rent. In school, you're just handed out rubrics. In a cold world, you have to hunt. Doing means taking direct action, building relationships, and reaching out to potential mentors, and consistently executing your application strategy without getting discouraged. Training wheels are off. You got to get comfortable with falling down occasionally. So, this is the cold reality. Okay. This is the cold reality. And so, if you are facing this cold reality, go ahead and put the word cold reality in the comments. Cold world reality in the comments. So, let's go ahead and give you some great advice right now. Okay. That is better than the school counselor's advice. Okay. And expose this data and all this stuff together. Okay. So, looking at the 50% career pivot statistic, it's clear that flexibility and execution is everything. Fellas, what is one tactical, non negotiable step a student must do this week to bypass standard automated application portals and get their name directly in front of a decision maker? So, what is that one thing that they could do this week that can get them in front of a decision maker?
I would say to me, making a personal connection with somebody in that area. Yeah, it's cool to fill out the applications and things of that nature, but to give a everlasting impression, oh, money can't buy that. So I would say just having a conversation. Hey, I just want to say good morning. I just want to check on you. How you doing today? You doing good? You just keep doing it every time you see that person. They go, man, this I always see this person. And then they see that name come up in that application. Hey, you might get something there. So making some kind of form of personal contact.
I think Crawford said making a personal contact, especially these places usually always having some type of event you can go to and you can just, oh yeah, actually apply for y'all's place before. Oh, you did? Yeah, my name's Woo. And then next you know, everybody knows you. And then you can keep calling them. Oh yeah, the boss told me he actually met you. And then you good. But nobody wants that anymore. Everybody wants to fill out the same 8,000. Everybody wants in that 8,000 resumes for 2 jobs. That's not going to work, bro. But there's other, but it's also you get one, what's a non-negotiable step to also understand that you don't have to get that certain job. There's many different jobs that you can get to move up. So understanding there's also something called growth.
Man, and I love that when you think about it, like you said, showing up to that career day networking event, the social event, and just getting your face out there to tie in your face with the system. So you can say, hey, you remember me? Or you don't? Yeah, go and look up my name when you get back to the office. I love that. Good point, D Hill. Okay, so if you're a purpose builder who wants to break the rules of traditional job hunt, go ahead and subscribe right now. Okay, I'm gonna give you a second. Go ahead and subscribe. Look, we give you the strategy that schools completely leave out of the curriculum. Okay, so we don't want you to stop here. We want you to go ahead and check out our next episode, or actually one of the episodes, and you could just go ahead and search it. What schools don't tell you about corporate networking, right? That way you could gain the edge in executing. Okay, Edu Steps Nation. Usually this is where Ole closes it out, and he points to me, and so this time I'm gonna just point to myself, right? And so I'm gonna let you guys know that, listen, there are legitimate excuses for not going to college. There's no legitimate excuse for not getting an education. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Edu Steps, powered by Laddering Success. We'll see you on the next episode.